We are recording officially our first episode of the Burnt Rubber Racing Podcast, brought to you by flurrysports.org. I'm super stoked to be with you all here. Of course, trying to pump out a little bit more NASCAR content over on the site, motorsports. NASCAR getting started last weekend, and it was a fun Daytona 500, interesting one to say the least. And this wouldn't be happening, and our increased coverage this year wouldn't be possible without my good friend and fellow motorsports analyst, Zach McAdoo. Zach, how you doing, man? It's good. It's good to be on here with you.
Yeah, a long time coming with all of this the mishaps we had last week.
Yeah, we had some technical difficulties, some scheduling stuff. So we were like, you know what? Rather than try and cobble something together, we'll take our time. We'll put together a good show and recap the Daytona 500, and then we can move into the season ahead, because that's one thing with NASCAR and with racing. They are long seasons. We're just getting started here in the month of February. So for those of you who aren't familiar with me, I'm Henry John, and am joining Zach covering motorsports over at Flurry Sports here this year. Zach, anything you want to offer up, I guess, to the viewers, our listeners here? Of course, we're live on YouTube and Periscope recording this, and it'll be available in audio version when we are done. Initially, we're going to publish it on Spreaker, and then it'll slowly make its way out to everywhere you get your podcasts: Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio. I don't know who listens on iHeartRadio these days, but we're going to be on there eventually. We'll let you know when you can find this and download it on all of those platforms. But Zach, any background info you think might be pertinent for people just to kind of get to know you better here as we fire up this first season of the Burnt Rubber Racing Podcast?
Not really. I mean, I'm just excited to be here. Waiting, just follow me, follow Henry. We're gonna produce a lot of NASCAR stuff, so be sure to look up for them.
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be a fun season, and I like it. You know, we're not looking at the past; we're looking at the future. Uh, Zach's been doing some motorsports writing here for a few years, and of course, those of you who might have followed the NASCAR betting column at Flurry Sports last year, that was just the scratching the tip of the iceberg for me, I guess we could say. We got plenty more coming for you this year. So yeah, a couple other, I guess, housekeeping things off the top. We're going to be looking to record this Thursday nights, Friday mornings, depending on racing schedules and whatnot, and available information at the time. And it'll be in audio form, ready for download, ready for listen, shortly after we're done each week. So you can join us live or catch the video or audio version after. This episode, let's see, we're just going to recap, I guess, the Daytona 500, right? We got to start there. Some other news coming out of Daytona last week. The Xfinity and Truck Series, of course, also in action. And we'll kind of touch on some of the off-season stuff that is carrying over here into this season, just kind of our thoughts and whatnot on that. Zach put together a couple of kind of season preview articles over on flurrysports.org. So you can go back and check those out. One looking at free agents, another looking at the schedule changes here for the new season. So good stuff all around in those. And then we'll dive into the Daytona road course this week. We're back at Daytona. Road course racing, the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 is the official name. It's more of a mouthful to be throwing in article titles and just to be saying here than the Daytona 500, but you know what? We're going to work with it. And yeah, so let's jump in here. Zach, you wrote the Daytona 500 recap and results and reactions piece earlier this week. I guess without diving into too many details, you want to just fire out your initial your gut reactions on the race, because I know it was an exciting race, and you know, we were going back and forth there down the end, and your heart rate was verifiably higher than resting toward the
Yeah.
end of that race. But there were a few letdowns too. Rain delay, not even. You know, we'll get to that. But what I guess, what's your overall measure up here of that race?
Well, I think with the start with a 3 o'clock start, you knew with just looking at the weather uh, pattern, well, not patterns, but like the radar, the rain was coming, and so I don't know what was going on with Christopher Bell, but Bell just decided to be impatient there and just
A little bit.
it, I mean, I guess he's still learning. I guess year two of the Christopher Bell project. I mean, I like the guy, but you gotta learn to let off a little bit, especially that early. I get the rain was coming, but you're nowhere near halfway, so the race wouldn't be called even if the rain comes. I mean, you look back. I mean, it's kind of screwy how it happened with the lightning happening like 3 minutes after the wreck happened.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy how that all panned out. We have the big wreck. We go under caution. Seemingly half the field is, you know, in shambles here after that mishap, and then we go into a near 6 hour weather delay. So that was fun. I was listening to the Visa and Gone Racing podcast coming into town here this morning, and it was funny. Brendan Gaughan was talking about, you know, the different things he used to do during rain delays and stuff. And for him, it was, you know, they'd get the whole crew in the hauler and watch Drunk History, which I don't know if you've ever taken in that show, but that was the new one for me. Sounds, you know, the plot's sort of interesting, I guess. But and then here this week, this past week, we have the young guns of the NASCAR Cup Series. Tyler Reddick, your boy there. Zach is, for those of you who don't know, a major Tyler Reddick hype guy. There it is, right there.
Well,
And
it's
Kevin
Harvick, not
Harvick.
Reddick. My Reddick shirt in the drawer in my dresser, but yeah, I'm a big Tyler Reddick fan. I've been since I met the guy, but yeah, that was interesting with Reddick. I mean, I honestly thought he was done for, and yet here he is, completely hood off, like that much of a front fender. Like how he drove that thing is beyond me. But I mean, anything for points.
Oh yeah, yeah. Once we got back to racing there after that the rain delay, uh, Reddick drove the entire race without a hood on his car after getting caught up in that early wreck there. But just back to what I was saying real quick, I know Ross Chastain, I believe it was, went to McDonald's and got that for his whole team. So there were several of the younger drivers were just going to drive-throughs during the rain delay. And I mean, hey,
Briscoe with the
why?
Panda Express.
Yes, yep. And somebody was crapping on him, saying he'd regret that. But you know, they had almost 6 hours. They'll be fine. Um, yeah. So that early wreck was, I guess, interesting. I mean, for me, you can't have that happen that early in the race when it's the second and third place cars getting together. In Christopher Bell just getting overly aggressive and getting into Eric Almirola, who was a guy that I liked, to have a strong showing there. Typically does well at the super speedways, and so took out what 10, 11 cars I think were done by the time we resumed racing after the
Yeah,
delay.
11 had DNF by then, but Derek Hope, I mean, I think he was done for after his lap 3 or 4 wreck. But
Yeah,
it definitely took out a lot more cars than just 11 because you're not going to win after Reddick wasn't going to win, Truex was going to win. I mean, at that point, you're just running for points.
yeah, yep. So Cope was out earlier before the wreck, but definitely inflicted some carnage. And Zach, I guess, how did you pass the rain delay time? Was there anything that you diverted your attention to during those five
Twitter,
and a half hours?
Twitter checking out the rain and whatnot. I mean, it was. it was like, I hate rain, but I'd rather wait till Monday than to just go race halfway. That's how I feel. I don't know how everyone else feels, but I mean, once it got to 7 o'clock, I was like, hey, at least there's NXT on. We can watch that until NASCAR came back. So, I mean, it was a good little diversion. But I mean, I'd rather be watching racing than NXT.
Oh, 100%. Shout out to NXT Vengeance Day there. It was a fun pay-per-view for those who caught that as well. Sunday night. Yeah, I was kind of in the same boat as you. I went to some college basketball. There were a couple of good games on in the afternoon, and then it was just following the weather reports. Are we going to get this in? My brother, he actually goes to school right down in Daytona Beach. So it's like, hey, is there any sign of this clearing up down there? And I have the Daytona Beach weather on my weather app, trying to figure out, okay, are we going to have it clear off at all? And he said it stopped raining around 6, or it lessened up rather. So I was encouraged by that. And lo and behold, around 9 o'clock, we got back to racing. And then we have a frenzy after this rain delay because we went into the rain delay with this major wreck. And then, of course, now we come out of it. We're ready to go. We're under yellow from the wreck. We're still trying to dry the track. But you got all these damaged cars and all these teams trying to repair their cars, get them back out so they can run a lap at minimum speed. So that is where we saw Tyler Reddick's hood get ripped off. I think Jamie McMurray's crew was like jumping on the hood, trying to get the nose of the car down. And that was a problem they had to deal with throughout the race. And Jamie Mack, kudos to him, getting a top 10 finish with a damaged car. That was a strong showing there. Who else was there, Zach? I don't know. Martin Truex Jr. definitely had damage the rest of the race. He was
Kurt
running
Busch,
laps
William
down.
Byron,
Hmm.
like
Yeah. I guess what if I had to ask you, aside from Reddick, was there a car specifically um in that frenzy of trying to repair them, get them back out for minimum speed that you were shocked he was able to stay in the race, even though they weren't in contention to win at that point? But is there a car that stood out to you, a team that did a good job there?
I well, I was gonna say Byron until he said good job because Byron ended up having to come back in and fix it again. But yeah, Byron's the only one because like you look at his car like and you just see like the back of his car just waving in the wind. Like they could have done better. They should have done better, but I thought he was done for, especially when he got on his side. But I mean, that was good. Kudos to the 2014 for fixing that and getting him back out there.
Yeah, 26th place finish for William Byron, one spot ahead of Reddick. To Zach's point, that whole car was the back of the car was falling apart, and it actually cost the double zero a chance to finish the race. As Byron got back out there, he lost debris off the back,
One of
and
your FanDuel boys.
yeah, let's. The sad part is that. So, all right, we got to put this in context for the listeners before we dive too far into it. So, in Zach's DFS article on FlurrySports.org for the Daytona 500, he had a whole bunch of guys just kind of lumped in.
Any Rick Ware racing car, and I put through the double zero. Do not take them. Don't just stay away, even no matter how cheap they are. And yet this guy decides to go and just pick them all just to piss me off.
Right. Well, anyway, I kind of came at Zach because at the beginning of his article, he said, anybody's got a shot to win the race. Then he kind of backtracked it in that section where he had PJ McLeod. I don't even know who else was in there. Cody Ware,
Cody
probably
Jace.
probably Derek Cope was in there too, right? But
Yeah.
he's won the 500 actually in the past, a long time ago, but doesn't have the equipment to really keep up with the big boys here at this stage, I guess we could say. And so Zach said, these guys really don't have a shot. And I was like, maybe I should make a DFS lineup with all those guys and laugh at you when one of them wins the race. And needless to say, I was told that I wouldn't have a pair if I didn't. So we
I
set up
forgot about that.
So we set up the DFS lineup, and I had, I can pull it up here. I can pull up exactly who we had in this lineup, and then we can get to the real kicker. Let's
Joey
see.
Gase did better than I thought he did. He actually got a top 20 and actually helped me win some money. So
Joey Gase was my team captain. Yeah, Joey Gase, Quinn Houff, Josh Billicky, BJ McLeod, and Derek Hope were the FanDuel DFS lineup that I set up. Derek Hope was out of the race before the big wreck even happened because he blew a tire and took heavy damage just like 8 laps in. Didn't do a whole lot to contribute, but some of these other guys, and then Quinn Houff running over William Byron's debris. So as you can imagine, as I was trying to win a FanDuel championship here, I was not happy to see that. But 147 and a half fantasy points, Zach, out of this lineup. McLeod and Gase really kind of picking up the slack, and they weren't my lowest scoring lineup of the week. That's the kicker. I submitted
yeah,
a
when you have
lineup.
we had Eric Almirola and Tyler Reddick in lineups, and that just screwed us both.
A lineup of Brad Keselowski, Alex Bowman, who was the pole sitter, Eric Almirola, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. always does well at these plate tracks. Somehow, I'm not sure what happened with Stenhouse later in the race. He must have had a pit where he pitted alone and he wound up a lap
Oh no,
down.
he got in the Bell wreck when Bell spun.
Okay, so that was it. Yeah. So Ricky Stenhouse and Martin Truex Jr., who of course took damage in that early wreck, finished the race running, but was never in contention to win. It scored over 30 points less than the infamous lineup there. I mean, what the heck? I might set them again for the road course race this week. Like I
Yeah, fairly
feel some
slow and
momentum
steady.
coming.
Slow and steady helps you a little bit. But
Yeah. Anyways,
going back and so we get through the 500 here.
yeah, back to the race. Never mind my silly DFS lineups, just to prove I have some junk underneath. Zach, the Joe Gibbs Toyotas were dominant after the restart. Denny
I think it's
Hamlin
just,
run.
I'd say just
Go ahead.
Hamlin. I mean, maybe you can throw Bubba in there because satellite and
Okay.
whatnot, but I don't even think he fell out after like stage 2. But I think only Hamlin's the one up there because Kyle Busch missed a block. He fell to the bag. I don't think he scored any stage 1 points. So I mean, it's just Hamlin to me.
That's fair. For the most part, though, the Toyotas kind of running up near the front. To Zach's point, a little mishap there at the end of stage 1 for Busch. Denny Hamlin won stages 1 and 2, and so then we're in the final stage. We're running green the first half of it, single file line along the wall. Yep, the train made an appearance with a lot of the field being taken out so early. Easier for drivers to kind of get in the line there. Man, Denny Hamlin was the race favorite coming in, the betting favorite, which is saying something, and he deserved it, winning the last 2 500s. Looks great. He was running in the back early in the race, and then a lot of the field gets taken out, and he makes the decision to go to the front. Kudos to him. It's working out. And then we get some savvy green flag pit stop strategy from the Fords. When Kevin Harvick and all of them pulled down to the inside there, was your initial, like, did you know right away this was a planned pit stop, or did you think they were making a move? Because on air, Clint Boyer, Jeff Gordon, they're going, are they making a move here? And it was a little earlier than the expected pit window that they were giving on the broadcast. I think they kind of surprised me a little bit that they came in there on, what was it, with 31, I think, to go, just out of the blue.
I mean, but you knew they were going to come in together. I mean, they did it all race. They've been doing it for the past 3 or 4 years now that I can remember at least. You're going to see manufacturers gang up like they did, and I think the Fords did it perfectly. Well, they probably had the numbers game a little bit, but it's compared to the Toyotas who had 3 and it just absolutely screwed them. But I mean, I think the Fords did it perfectly.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with you there. So Ford's pit. They lead the charge onto pit road. Chevys and Toyotas stay out. I think it's maybe a lap later. I don't think the Chevys ran more than a lap, and they were coming. And of course, the most Chevrolets of any manufacturer were in this race. Um, so we got the Fords in, the Chevys in, and the Toyotas. They didn't come with either one. So they're staying out. It's Hamlin, Busch, and Bubba Wallace on the lead lap here. They're able to pick up Martin Truex Jr. to, get in the draft pack with them, even though he's laps down and damaged. What did they run? Did they run a lap or two laps after the Chevys before they even came?
I
And
think
uh,
it was a while. It felt like, especially when you talk about pitting on plate tracks. But I can't
yeah,
call them plate tracks anymore. But you look at it, it was just, why would they stay out that long? Why, like, I didn't understand it to me. I mean, then again, I'm also not in the crew chief to tell them, yeah, pit now. So what can I say?
that's fair enough. Um, I I didn't understand it myself. Um, so when they finally do come to pit road, you've got four cars on pit road. You've got the organized Fords, which was another thing the Fords did really well here on these green flag pit stops toward the end of the race. They got organized quick. They're picking up speed. The Chevys got organized, and actually, the Chevys and the Fords wound up getting together in a single file line fairly quickly as well. So by the time the Toyotas are coming off pit road, uh, it was kind of game over. And oh, by the way, the Toyotas don't come out of
No, they were
the
like
pits.
separated. They were they were separated a lot. I mean, you go back and look at the gap between Denny and Bush. That was like 20 cars. You look at the gap between Bush and Hamlin. Not Hamlin, Wallace. That was another 20 cars. So I mean, they kind of screwed themselves on their own pit strategy.
Yeah, it was ugly. Denny Hamlin almost got out of the pits too fast, I thought, and Bush and Bubba weren't able to catch him. Of course, Truex was damaged. Uh, Christopher Bell was out of the race at this point, I believe, right?
I think he was still running. I don't think he was. Don't think he was in contention though.
Yeah, he was not a good finish to this race for Bell. Of course, he had some damage from that earlier wreck that he more or less caused. But anyway, so I loved the move. This was one of the best racing moves I thought of the end of the race once we had the reduced field and we're kind of running single file for the most part. Toyotas knew they were beat, and by Denny Hamlin going high and Kyle Busch dropping down low, the way that they were able to kind of break up the Ford Chevrolet parade there, making them drive in between, Hamlin was able to get in front of, I think, all the Chevys, but maybe Chastain, like the lead Chevrolet. So even at that point, he would have been sitting in seventh. Uh, and really, he didn't completely fall out of contention ever because of the way the race ended, which we'll get to here. But it was his decision to pull out so soon after and not have any help when he tried to dive down to the inside. Uh, I don't know, Zach. If I were Denny Hamlin, I would have been grateful to be sitting there in seventh after that splitting maneuver, and I would have been biding my time there over the last 25 laps. Did you think he had any warrant to pull down like that and try and make a move so soon?
I mean, he wants to be in the front. That's where I think he either wants to be in the front or the back, and so why not try something? Maybe get someone to go with you and help you get to the front. So I don't blame him for doing it. I mean, you got a guy who's trying to go for his third Daytona 500 in a row, and he said that he would even wreck Bubba if it came down to it. So I don't blame him. It's you got to try something with laps running down.
That's fair. I don't know. I thought just the way it all panned out, I would have been happy to be in seventh. But at any rate, uh, Hamlin wound up finishing fifth, which wasn't terrible after the pit stop domination. So we came down to the end of this race. We got the Fords all running up front, thanks to their pit stops. And Zach, you and I both had a little beef with NASCAR Twitter after this race, trying to get on the eventual winner, Mr. Michael McDowell, 14th Cup season, first career NASCAR Cup Series win.
358 starts. That's how long it took. Okay, so let's go. Let's go. Go through the final lap before we go talk about that. So you go back. They're running. McDowell's getting a push from, I forget who was behind him. I think it was Kyle Busch actually. Maybe not. I don't. A little fuzzy in my brain now. And he pushes Keselowski into Logano. That caused a big wreck. So I see McDowell get to first. I start jumping, and then I see the fireball. That's when it gets to bleep. So I was excited for McDowell, but at the same time, you got to worry cautious, especially when you see fire like that. So, I mean, there's no, you can be happy for him, but at the same time, you got to realize there's something serious there. But then when they all get out, you can then celebrate. So, I mean, I was happy to see McDowell. I don't know what was your take on the final wreck there. You texted me before we even realized what happened.
Yeah, I was pretty pumped when we got to 10 to go and Michael McDowell was running right there in the top five. He's always had strong showings at these plate tracks. Like Zach said, they're not plate tracks anymore. Whoops. Tapered engine spacer tracks, super speedways. Yeah, and I was like, I'd love to see him pull it off. I don't know if he can get to the front with two Penskes and Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski in front of him, but it'd be pretty cool. And then, lo and behold, this wreck starts. I'm looking at the video right now. Chase Elliott was directly behind McDowell, and I don't know if he was the one to give him a run or what. My thoughts on the wreck are this. Michael McDowell clearly bumped Brad Keselowski. It was directly from behind. I'm sorry, but that doesn't cause a guy to spin out, and it didn't cause Brad Keselowski to spin out. It gave him a run on the inside of Joey Logano. Brad Keselowski was going to surge to the front. McDowell was likely going to go with him, at which point he wouldn't have stayed with him. He would have tried to win the race for himself. And Joey Logano, if he sits and lets that run happen on his inside, he's throwing away a 500. So Logano tries to block.
Theoretically, yes. Because if you go back to last year, Hamlin let Blaney and Newman by, and he got back to the leading one. So, but I didn't mean to cut you off, but I was like, better throw that in there.
No, you're good. Makes sense. But if I'm Logano sitting there at the time, I'm not going to want someone to pass me going into turn 3. So I totally get where he's coming from as he goes to try and block the run on the inside. Unfortunately, the run was too quick. Logano's block was too late. Came down too late. Keselowski gets into Logano. They spin. McDowell drives through. Elliott, some of these other. Austin Dillon was, I think, running 6th at the time. So those guys are able to get through, and then we have the pileup. So you see the pileup, and you're like, holy cow. My heart stopped there for a second, too, because you always want everyone to be okay when you have a big wreck like this at the super speedway tracks. And then I'm like, wait a minute, McDowell was running third. Did he get through okay? Where did the caution come out? And it was crazy because Chase Elliott passed him at one point around the turn, and so they had to go back and where'd the caution come out? Then I see the yellow clad pit crew of McDowell, which I thought that was just great, like a bunch of guys. I don't know what it quite reminded me of, but the bright yellow just dancing around on pit road was great. And he was the winner, and everyone climbed from their cars, and I was pretty fired up with that result. McDowell 66 to 1 betting odds to win the Daytona 500. I
Yeah, my
mean,
brother's a Chase Elliott fan, so I had to hear from him like, "Oh yeah, Elliott got passed. What are the caution about? It's Elliott won." I was like, no, no. But so let's get down to why we're in trouble with NASCAR Twitter now. Okay, so NASCAR Twitter, listen up.
yeah, listen up.
For all two of you watching right now, you guys said that McDowell's a wrecker, right? No. Last lap, all bets are off when it comes to Daytona 500. You're not freaking lifting. I've said this before. I'll wreck my parents to win a Daytona 500. I don't care. I I'm winning a freaking Daytona 500. That you there's one race that I will say you're a champion for. This is it. This is the biggest race on the year. Stop with this. Oh, McDowell's a wrecker. Oh, McDowell's a no, no. Get out. I don't hate me all you want. I don't care. McDowell is a Daytona 500 champion. His first win in 358 starts. Come at me. I don't care.
I don't know how you can say. I don't know how you can say McDowell's racing was foul on the last lap. Uh, I loved it. Somebody posted a a picture of him getting into Keselowski, at which point Logano wasn't even down the track. I, I don't. The wreck doesn't happen if Logano doesn't try to block. I have no problem with Logano trying to block. I have no problem with McDowell getting a run and getting into Keselowski, and I don't know.
It happened
I thought it was.
Go back 3 years ago. Dylan did it to Almirola. What? Granted, people also complained then, but still, it was fine then. I think it's fine now.
Yeah, I'm completely with you. So we were in unison standing on this one. And at that point, it was past my bedtime, so I was just laughing at everyone and basically put my thoughts out there and signed off for the night. I was happy. I was happy for McDowell. It's
Yeah,
great to
let's
see
note that this
him.
race ended at like 12:30 in the morning on Monday, so that's why everyone was like tired and whatnot. Oh yeah, by the way, my heart rate got to 120. Like he said earlier, I thought that I'd better point that out there. 120 beats per minute. So yeah, you'll see how crazy I'll get if you follow me. Sometimes I'll share the heart rate that I have.
We might have to do like a live cam feed one of these weekends into Zach's racing experience. I don't know what my heart rate was at. I don't have a monitor. But I'm sure it was elevated from resting. I'll say that. To put 120 into context, that's usually what I try and get to doing like a warm up at the gym. I'll hop on the treadmill and do power walk at 4 miles an hour for 6-7 minutes, and I get to 120, 125 BPM, and I'm like, all right, let's hop off and get after it here. That's
I've had
impressive.
higher for sports. That's not that I'm not even joking. Like that's how bad I am with this. I think 120 is actually the highest I've had for NASCAR, but one of the MAC championships I got to 169. So yeah, well
Wow.
let's move on. Let's move on here.
Uh, I'm not as invested in the Mac as Zach is, even though I'm about to graduate from UB. Whoops. There it is. Go Bulls. More or less. Anyway, I think that's about our Daytona 500 recap. It was fair racing. It's hard racing on the last lap. And McDowell with the win. He's secured a spot in the Cup Series playoffs, field of
If he can
16.
stay
So
above top 30 in points, we can't forget that. We don't. I think he can, but you don't know with the underfunded teams.
I I don't see a way he doesn't. I mean, he's running a full schedule based on the way the metrics formula works out. Uh, which remember last year after the virus pause, NASCAR did away with qualifying in practice, and that's carrying over. We had full qualifying as normal for Daytona.
You'll see it
Um,
probably 7 other times. I think 7 other times this year. But
yeah, For the most part, though, we're keeping with that performance-based formula. So, like this week, it's got him starting on the front row. He's not the pole sitter. That honor goes to Chase Elliott, but McDowell's on the front line. And so long as he continues to, I mean, this week's we'll get into the road course race here a little more. I think it's a little different where it's hard to envision him totally having a train wreck finish starting on the front line here at the Daytona Road Course. But as long as he's not finishing 35th on a weekly basis, he's not going to have terrible starting positions. Uh, I think he's fine. And
I
you know,
I think he's fine too. The thing is, I don't want to jinx him. I don't want to put that curse on him. I don't want anyone saying he's definitely entered. I just don't mess it up. I want him in.
totally fair. Speaking of road course races, McDowell's not too shabby on the circuits himself, and there's quite a few of them on the schedule this year, Zach. They added a few extra road courses in. They're going to uh, Road America in
July
Elkhart Lake,
4th. Coda, they added Circuit of the
Wisconsin.
Americas.
Yep. And oh, by the way, there's no Brickyard 400 this year. It's on the Indy Motor Speedway road course. I hate that personally.
I hate it too. Why take away a crown jewel like that and you're just gonna go to the road course? I understand that Xfinity had a good race there last year, and I understand that NASCAR is trying to bring in more road courses because they think all of them are going to be like Watkins Glen, but they're not.
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. When we're talking about iconic tracks, yes, NASCAR, the the big kahuna, if you will, is Daytona. Uh, but Indianapolis Motor Speedway, it's right up there with it. Um, so anyway, I guess we'll have to wait for the Indy 500 to have real top-notch racing on the speedway itself. But yeah, is there any one track, I guess, Zach, for you that you're excited to welcome to the schedule? Or any one that you're sad to see go? I know we lost Kentucky, we lost Chicagoland, we lost Auto Club. We weren't supposed to lose Auto Club. That was supposed to be this
Yeah.
week, but you know,
Well, it's supposed to be next week, I think.
California's
But they moved Daytona up because why not? They're already there. But
right.
yeah, I'm not a fan to see Chicagoland, Kentucky, and Auto Club go. It to me, I like them all, but at the same time, I do want to see Coda. I've I've seen what F1 can do there. I've seen IndyCar. I've raced it on Forza. It looks like a cool track, so I'm glad to see NASCAR finally go there. But there's also one other thing I like, and that's Atlanta being placed in having a second date on my birthday. So I mean, I love Atlanta. That's such a great track to me. How like it just eats up the rubber. So happy birthday to me, I guess.
Yeah, I was very excited when we got that news. Um, Apologies for the echo. I keep having that when I come in. We'll have to work on that for episode 2. But yeah, Atlanta, I hope they don't repave it in the near future. I know all these tracks get repaved. I feel like Texas lost a bit of luster when they redid that surface. And
Texas has gone downhill because they repaved it, and I can see both sides of the coin with Atlanta because it could get too bad to the point where there's no reason to refix it and whatnot. It could be thrown to the wayside like North Wilkesboro, but I'd rather see it get repaved than not, and just see it go on schedule. So
yeah, absolutely. Thoughts on the Bristol dirt race at all? Or is this
I hate it.
a gimmick, or what are we doing here?
Fans have said for years that they want to see a dirt racing cup. I'm in the minority that they don't need it. Let trucks have dirt. That way they have some luster when they go race in dirt. Now you bring it to cup. Who's going to tune in to watch the trucks now? You lose a lot of fans who would have turned into watch dirt. But now, oh yeah, Cup's doing it, so why tune in now? That's the way I see it. But I know some other people are going to disagree with me on that. But
I mean, I'll probably still tune in for the trucks, but
so I'll watch all the races that I can. But
we're diehards. I'm not trying to undermine your point at all. No, the trucks are
yeah,
always
thanks.
fun since they've been running at Eldora in recent years, and it's going to be interesting. I think I'm also kind of bummed that they had to do it at Bristol. Um,
Yeah, Bristol always has good races there. Like why take away a good Bristol track? That's what I don't understand.
yeah, I kind of much rather myself would have had them do it at. I don't know where else you could do it, but it'd have to be a shorter track when you're on the dirt. It'll be interesting though. We'll see how it plays out, along with all the track and scheduling changes, which there could definitely be more, depending on how things shake out here in the coming months. Some driver movement this offseason as well. Retirees, Jimmy Johnson, uh, Clint Boyer, and Matt Kenseth, who, he was kind of technically retired, but came out of retirement to run the 42 after Kyle Larson dropped the ball last spring. So those three, all accomplished veterans, salute them all. Clint Boyer, I thought he was very entertaining week one in the Fox broadcast booth. Jimmy Johnson heading over. What is it? He's running a limited Indy
He's running
car.
the road courses in Indy. He wanted to do the full season, but his wife told him no. His wife told him he didn't want it. She didn't want him doing the Indy 500, so he kind of had to just limit it. Which I
Yep.
understand, but I mean, from a fan perspective, I would have loved to see him run the Indy 500.
Oh, I totally agree. But the women they're going to keep you in line. So Johnson will be over in IndyCar doing a little open wheel on the road courses. We'll cover that intermittently once they get their season underway. Silly season, a lot of stuff going on though with the drivers who are still around. Zach put out, sure I mentioned it earlier in the show, but a pretty detailed look at all the movers and shakers and the Cup Series rookies. Neither Chase Briscoe nor Anthony Alfredo really able to uh, do a whole heck of a lot of Daytona thanks to the early wreck and then damage that ensued for Briscoe as he was able to keep running. Uh, Zach, any thoughts? I guess you want to dive into on the two rookies. Do you think either one is going to be able to pull a Cole Custer here and maybe surprise and make the playoff field? Which by the way, Cole Custer, I thought he ran well last Sunday. I was impressed. Other than that late decision to pull out.
I don't think. Okay, Briscoe, I think it's too early to tell, but I don't think Alfredo has a chance because mainly because he's in an underfunded car like McDowell. He's teammates McDowell. You're going to see
Mm-hmm.
both of them try to finish top 20 each week, and that's their goal pretty much. But as far as Briscoe, he's in top tier equipment, so I it's gonna have to. I can see it, but he's gonna have to luck into it like Custer did.
Yeah, I still honestly don't know quite how Custer pulled off that win at Kentucky last year. He came out of nowhere. To Zach's point, Alfredo and McDowell teammates at Bob Jenkins Front Row Motorsports. After the 500, it certainly looks like McDowell is going to be the more likely one to make the playoff field as long as he stays over that 30th place threshold in the driver's standings. Moving on from the rookies, though, some other silly season uh, moves to recap. Of course, the big one that everybody won't stop talking about is Bubba Wallace. 2311 Racing, co-owned by Michael Jordan and current driver Denny Hamlin, debuted the 23 Toyota at the 500 here this past weekend. Bubba ran well. There was a pit stop mishap. I sort of lost track of what exactly happened that made him have to go back down pit road there. Overall, though, I thought it was a strong showing. They had DoorDash on the car as the primary sponsor. Uh, and I'm all things Michael Jordan. I celebrated my birthday on the same day he celebrated his here earlier this week. So it's exciting to see him be in NASCAR. Uh, Other media outlets can do what they want with the narrative, and I'll leave that to them. Any uh, any I guess initial reactions to the debut of Michael Jordan's team?
I mean, I think it was a good showing, but we don't know what type of equipment they really have because anyone can win. Like I said, anyone can win on a plate track. So, I mean, the real test will become this week and next week when we truly see what they have under the hood.
Yeah, we'll see how things pan out moving forward for 2311 Racing. Other moves: Ross Chastain uh, going to. Sorry, got distracted there. He's taking over the
Yes,
number
he's driving
42.
42. Yeah,
Yes,
I'm
for. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a big fan of this move. I like Chastain. I feel like he can win races up here. But the only thing is, he's got to control his aggression. He can use the bumper way too quick, and it can screw him sometimes. And so that's the only thing he has to watch. I feel, but at the same time, the aggression could also help him. So if he can control it he should be good.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be kind of a learning curve for him, like it is most young drivers. But I like the talent, and I'm happy that he gets a big ride. Of course, taking over, as Zach said, the 42, vacated by Kyle Larson / Matt Kenseth. Kyle Larson is now with Hendrick Motorsports, driving the 5 car. So interesting little shift in the garage there. Alex Bowman goes and takes over the 48 team, vacated by Jimmy Johnson. Uh, they fire up the 5 car and close the doors on the 88 for now. And then, of course, you still got William Byron in the 24 and wow, I'm blanking. Chase Elliott in the 9.
Elliott.
Uh, yep.
Oh my God, the Elliott fans are gonna come after you now.
I don't know. I could blank on him this week too. When he is probably going to go out and win a race. But defending NASCAR Cup Series champion Chase Elliott. Uh, Apologies to the fans. Uh, I mean, they should probably come after Zach. Just looking at the facial expressions he threw out there, we all don't want to go back down memory lane. Maybe we will on another episode, just to hear how Zach's 2020 NASCAR season ended wearing that Kevin Harvick hoodie over there. 2021 though, we'll bring it back to the Hendrick Motorsports garage. Is Elliott? I guess the guy you're cued in on here for Hendrick, or are you looking at the young William Byron, Bowman switching car numbers, or Kyle Larson getting this ride? I was impressed with Larson at the 500, stayed out of trouble, solid showing. Um, as who are you looking to kind of carry the flag here for Hendrick Motorsports this year? And if it is Elliott, maybe one of those other guys that you'd look at as the uh, the next one up there in what is a young but strong team.
I feel like last year was like passing the torch from Johnson to Elliott. So in my opinion, right now, Bowman and Larson are fighting for who's number 2. I could see either one of them being number 2 because, well, Bowman's been there longer and he's won a couple races there. But at the same time, Larson has been in Cup longer. He is a potential chance. be a champion in the 5. I feel like so. In my opinion, it's gonna be who steps up first.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the dynamic plays out there. And then we go, of course, Clint Boyer retiring too. We mentioned that now in the Fox Sports broadcast booth, and it's Briscoe taking over the 14 with Stuart Haas. Uh, any, I guess, any initial gut reactions to Briscoe at the 500, or too early to jump to conclusions? We know he has the equipment. Can the driver live up to the equipment? I guess is where we're at with him.
Yeah, and like we said before, I think if he gets a win this year, it's going to be lucking into it. I think Briscoe is going to be the future of the 14. He'll be there probably maybe till he retires. I don't know, but I feel like he's the future of SHR. He'll carry the flag after Harvick leaves.
Yeah, for sure. A couple of other moves free agency wise. So Bubba Wallace was driving the 43 for the King, Richard Petty Motorsports, last year. With him jumping ship to join 2311 Racing with Michael Jordan. Eric Jones lost his seat in the 20 car, Joe Gibbs. He takes over the 43 for Richard Petty Motorsports. Christopher Bell slides into the number 20 ride with Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs Garage to round that out. So this year we have Hamlin, Kyle Busch, Christopher Bell, and Martin Truex Jr., and then Bubba Wallace as the 5th full-time Toyota with 2311. And then finally, a couple of smaller team moves. Corey LaJoie, impressive at the 500. He always is at the super speedways. He's driving the number 7 for Spire Motorsports this year. Go fast, go fast. I don't know. I kind of like Go Fast Racing. They shut down their operations. That was LaJoie's team last year. And so he is now with Spire in the number 7. And a guy on a smaller team who did not have as strong a showing last week, Daniel Suarez. He is driving the 99 car for first year Trackhouse Racing. It's his 3rd team in 3 seasons, which is always kind of interesting. And I would have
His
to
fourth and
imagine
fourth
tough.
season.
Oh, it's 4th and 4. Okay.
He was 19, it's 41, the 96, and now he's a 99.
Yeah, you're right. Man, that's got to be tough. That to me, that's like not quite the same, but you have a pitcher and he's on one team and he gets traded in the middle of the season. Then he signs with another team, 1-year deal, like these relief pitchers in baseball that bounce all over. No sense of chemistry, or like in football, you have a different offensive coordinator coming in every year. How's the young quarterback supposed to progress? I don't know, but disappointing at the 500. He got taken out in that early wreck thanks to Christopher Bell. Zach, who I guess of those two guys, higher expectations, which one do you give the better shot to make the playoffs this year? If you had to pick one, they're probably going to have to win a race to do it. And then if you wanted to touch on the Christopher Bell move at all and Joe Gibbs, feel free.
You said out of any free agents, or out of who?
For making the playoffs, I was, I guess, kind of looking at Suarez or LaJoie, which
Oh,
I guess for me, it comes down to the better bet, which guy wins a race, right? Because it's going to be tough for them to make it on points.
yeah. I feel like if me, I gotta say Suarez, only because the question mark of the equipment and the fact I feel like Suarez is better at road courses. So he could luck himself into a road course win. So, and there's more road courses than there are plate tracks. So
Yeah, that's where we're at here in NASCAR 2021, which I'm a super speedway guy. I always will be. Zach, what's your favorite type of track? Do you have one? Do you are you super speedway? Are you road course? Are you just short track? You're definitely not dirt. We kind of already covered that. You got a favorite?
yeah, I mean, I always love Daytona, Talladega. Those are my two. If we could have nothing but plate tracks, I'd love it. But I mean, the unfortunate side effect is we'd probably get oversaturated with it. So I mean, it makes sense to only have four, but I want more.
I completely agree. It's a special treat when they come around. Trying to find a way to go to Talladega in April. There's, for me, there's super speedway racing at Daytona, and then there's Talladega. Like Talladega's, get chills watching the races there, and I feel like weather has been impacting every single plate race lately. Talladega had to run on a Monday last year. It's just, uh, hopefully it's a sunny Sunday in April, and hopefully I'm there. One other guy I wanted to ask you about, what do you think of John Hunter Nemechek not having a cup ride this year?
You look at him last year and look at all the spins and wrecks and cautions he caused. It makes sense that they dumped him. No disrespect to the guy, but he I think his problem was he was trying to get more out of the car than what the car could do, and it just ended up costing him.
So in other words, no disrespect, but a little disrespect.
Yeah, my bad.
uh, I completely agree. I think he'll be back. The name's there. It's just not this year. We'll see how things pan out for him down at the lower level. Xfinity and Truck Series. Austin Cindric getting the win in the Xfinity Series race at Daytona. Ran very well in the Cup Series race in his Daytona 500 debut as well. Great weekend overall for him. I feel like it's only a matter of time before he finds a ride at the big level as soon as next year. And then Ben Rhodes, we had him winning the Truck Series race, epic Truck Series finish on Friday night. Both series are in action again at the road course this weekend. Zach, anything you wanted to jump on with these two series? I know we have one other storyline we'll get to here in a second, but any guys you're watching at the minor league NASCAR National Series levels this year?
Yeah, I think. Well, for this week, I'll take Cindric again. I think he's gonna go out and win the road course again, especially because he don't have. Well, he has Elmedinger he has to deal with this week,
Mm-hmm.
but I think Cindric is going to win another race and give him another five playoff points, and very well could see him in the championship race again. But as far
Yeah.
as the trucks, I think it's too early to tell.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Cindric is he's very strong. Of course, winning the Xfinity Series championship last year. What can you say? He's got talent. Truck Series, Ben Rhodes is good. I was impressed with that. Sheldon Creed is a guy. I think he's destined for greatness. I really do, and I know it's so early on for him, but I'm impressed. I was impressed with how he closed last year. Fifth place at Daytona here this past weekend to open 2021. Sheldon Creed's a guy I've got my eye on.
I feel like
Hopefully,
Sheldon Creed is going to be the next Kyle Busch. I think you're going to either see people love him or hate him.
I couldn't agree more. He's definitely got an attitude, but you know what? I feel like it's a winning attitude. I have no problems with Kyle Busch. See, you say that, and I feel like the majority of people are. It's like the New England Patriots, right? You love them or you hate them. And I'm kind of in the middle on Kyle Busch. I don't love him. I have no problems with him. Anyone who goes and breaks their leg and then gets back in a car, kudos to you, man. And I think you're right. I could see Sheldon Creed being a Kyle Busch in the future. The other storyline here at the minor series we just wanted to touch on quick this week. Alvin Kamara, uh, his juice bar is. I didn't know Alvin Kamara had a juice bar, but he's partnering with JD Motorsports and sponsoring Ryan Vargas in the Xfinity Series uh, race this week. So kind of another athlete from another sport. Looks like the big squeezy is yeah, the big squeezy is Alvin Kamara's juice bar. I'm gonna need to research that more after the show. Uh, Excited to see him get that partnership though, joining Michael Jordan, a couple of race fans and athlete figures in other sports crossing over and getting involved in NASCAR. Zach, anything you had on that decision? Do you think Kamara is going to stick around and sponsor beyond this week at all?
Yes, I feel like he will because he's already he already after this deal was announced, he said stay tuned. So there could be more in the works. Maybe he ends up owning an Xfinity Series team, maybe even a Cup Series team. I mean, as a NASCAR fan, how can you not love this when athletes from other sports dive into our sport and want to put more money into it? For us us as NASCAR fans and NASCAR in general, the ratings have been great. The money you've seen how many teams shut down last year? Three that I can think of off the top of my head just from Cup. We need the money. This I don't want to say it's a dying sport, but it's not. The growth isn't there as much as the other sports. I think NASCAR is losing more fans than the other sports. So any 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 chance we get to grow, we need NASCAR needs to jump all over it.
Yeah, I thought last year was proved huge. Just being the only game in town for a while, um, as far as driving up some viewership, and hopefully that carries over. And I think when you have guys like Alvin Kamara, Michael Jordan, investing in the sport, that's only going to bring in new fans and keep current ones, excited to see how stuff plays out. So good stuff all around there. We're gonna wrap up here. We got about, so we'll go for another 10, 15 minutes here. Episode one. And we got to finish up as we will each week with our insights and maybe a few free picks thrown out there. There are always going to be winners on here, right? Like we're never going to pick losers. Uh, Daytona Road Course this week. The O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. You diehard fans, you can check out the Truck Series and the Xfinity Series running there. In the days prior, the NASCAR Cup Series is going off Sunday afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern. When we aren't talking all off-season coverage, maybe we can dive into the minor series, some previews a little bit more in future episodes. Second ever running of this race. Last year's wasn't even the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. It was the Gold Bowling 235, which normally takes place up here in Zach and my neck of the woods at Watkins Glen International. Got moved to Daytona last year due to everything. And California is a lot like New York with what they want going on in their state. So, Auto Club, the Auto Club 400, normally run in Fontana, has moved to Daytona. And it'll be the second ever O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. This race will be 253 miles. Last year's they stuck with the 235 distance. Of course, it was won by Chase Elliott, road course king. Easily the best on these tracks in the current field of drivers. There are a lot of other strong road course racers, though. And you can head over to flurrysports.org. We've got the an overview and starting grid article. Zach breaks down the road course. looks at that stuff. I want to get your thoughts real quick on that note. Yesterday, it came out that after getting feedback from the drivers in the Busch Clash, which was run on the road course. So a recent data point, if you want to go and look back at kind of how that race unfolded when making your picks this week, they did adjust one of the turns. It's like they've added rumble strips to the front of the turtle curbing, they call it, in turns 9 and 10 on the back stretch. Just going off of the report here, they're the same used already on the front stretch. One of the drivers right, it's the one to the driver's right on entry is approximately 36 feet long. The other is about 30 feet long. And then, yeah, several drivers approach NASCAR following the Busch Clash to address this problem. Good, bad, indifferent. Does it mean anything when we're looking at kind of handicapping and picking this race at all?
I think it will because someone's going to end up with damage from hitting the turtles. So, I mean, it's going to come down to who can avoid the turtles. In theory, I mean, I think they all will do it. Just someone is going to end up doing it.
Yeah, 100%. 14 turns on the Daytona road course. It's the second longest course track lap length wise on the 2021 schedule, second only to Road America, which is, of course, the Independence Day race weekend track. Zach, your DFS article is coming out, I believe, later today. It'll be up on the site. Anybody you want to plug by name or give our listeners some insights as to what you have in there, maybe some guys you didn't mention in there? How are we playing FanDuel DFS this week? I'm assuming we're avoiding Joey Gase and the 0-0 of Quinn Houff, but
Yeah,
maybe I'm wrong. You're the resident DFS expert, so
I mean,
what do
going
you
off
got?
of
What do you
last
want to
week, I
dive
didn't do
into?
so well, so we might want to avoid me. But
Weird
yeah,
race, weird race.
yeah. Who would have thought that a wreck would have happened in lap 14? But yeah, someone I didn't say in the article, but probably Kyle Busch. I think Kyle Busch won the Busch Clash, so you're gonna obviously be looking at him. But in essence, you have to realize. Well, where does he start? I don't remember. Where does he start? He has to start. Oh no, he got in the wreck, so he probably fell back a little bit.
I've got you right here. He is starting. Oh, this grid is not numbered, so I have to count really quick. 7, 8, 15th, I believe, if I did that quick correctly.
So he's that doesn't have too bad of a starting spot. He should be able to make his way through the field, especially with the Joe Gibbs equipment. So Kyle Busch would not be a bad choice. I don't, off the top of my head, I don't know how much he costs for FanDuel, but look at Kyle Busch. And I'm saying that obviously because I can't say Chase Elliott because he's in the article and you're obviously going to pick him already.
Yeah, I think Chase Elliott is a lock to be in just about every DFS lineup this week. I've got prices pulled up. We're looking at Kyle Busch at 12,500 salary, fourth largest on the board, behind Elliott 14, Martin Truex Jr. 13.5, and Ryan Blaney 12.7. Kind of an interesting one there, I thought. And of course, he's got to be better than he was at Daytona. He's going to be starting near the rear, much lower than he will most weeks, based on getting wrecked out early. So the opportunity to gain points there. Thoughts on Blaney? If it's not Kyle Busch, are you throwing Blaney in, or are you throwing one of these other two guys who are more than 12 in? Would be AJ Allmendinger stepping up to run this race. with Colleague or Denny Hamlin is also at 12 even.
That's tough. It needs to be between Hamlin or Blaney. I don't trust the Colleague equipment. I don't know what they have, so I don't. I'm just gonna
Fair.
stay clear of Allmendinger. Just like you need it. Do not take Harvick this week. Two races he's had here. He has not figured this track out. I don't know what it is. Him and Roddy Childers don't. Something is not coming. Something's not meshing with this track in it. It bothers me that they can't figure it out after the first race and they go into the Busch Clash. They didn't fix it. But anyways, I wouldn't pick Umdinger because we don't know what he has.
Yeah, I would agree there. I personally would go with Denny Hamlin over Blaney. Truex is a great play at 13.5, but to have him and Elliott both,
That's over half your salary right there.
yeah, you're gonna be needing to resort to some value plays to fill out your lineup. There are a few. De Benedetto catches my eye, but maybe it's just because it's De Benedetto at a 300. Uh, Daytona 500 winner Michael McDowell. He's strong on the road courses. He's starting in the front row, which could hurt if he falls back a little bit. But maybe the opportunity to lead some laps early in the race should be a strong finish for him, I would think. Top 10 at
Yeah,
the road course last year, 6,500.
yeah,
Interested
that's not
there.
a bad play at all because you figure he's probably. I wouldn't say he's guaranteed to get a top 10, but he should do well enough to get a top 10 as long as he stays out of trouble. So I mean, it's not a bad play because he's still gonna get you points. He might lose you eight points or whatever just for the top 10, but 8 points compared to what 30 something with the with the top 10 plus the seven plus with laps. So and then you like you said he could lead laps, so we don't know. It's just
Yeah, I think he's a solid play this week. Um, any other bargain values you want to shout out uh, for people who do have maybe a Truex Elliott or an Elliott Blaney stack, Elliott Hamlin, whatever you're doing, you want to have, I would say, at least two of the guys over 12. And Elliott, I don't know how you throw a DFS lineup in this week without having Elliott in there. For me personally, we can jump into some betting here momentarily, but just to put that in context, Chase Elliott's odds to win the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 are plus 170. Uh, you're not going to get shorter odds to win a race than that. And it's simply because of how dominant he is on these road course tracks. So, assuming we're going to put him the highest priced guy on the board with another, like a Truex or a Hamlin or a Blaney, we're going to need to probably go cheap with one of our five drivers. So, any real cheap options you want to throw out there?
Daniel Suarez. I think he's 4,500 if I'm not mistaken. Because I did put him in
You,
my
you are
article.
correct.
So Suarez, he's a good road course racer. I feel like he can get up there. I think he starts in the back of the pack as a wreck. So why not have a dart throw in there with Suarez? We don't know. Again, like I said, we don't know what Trackhouse has, but a third of the cost of Allmendinger with probably I wouldn't say just as much talent road course wise, but he's in the ballpark. He's not a bad dart throw.
Yeah, I totally agree. You got the benefit of him starting in the pack. I mean, some of the guys he's starting behind, he should have no trouble passing. Uh, just looking at the grid here, Daniel Suarez has got to finish higher than Hauff, Billicky, uh, Justin Haley, I would say. Uh, Joey Gase, BJ McLeod. These are all guys starting ahead of him. He's going to be making up points from the jump, where he's
Barring
starting.
equipment failure, we need to say
Yeah, that's the risk you take, but for the price to throw him in there with a guy who's probably going to win the race and a guy who's probably going to get a top 5, if we're talking Truex here on the road courses, or Kyle Busch, whatever route you want to go there. It's worth a shot. Why not? Jumping over to betting a little bit, a couple other odds behind Elliott. Again, I think if you're going to bet on the winner of the race, which my betting preview article for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253 will be up on flurrysports.org at some point later today or tomorrow morning. But if you're going to bet on the race, I think you have to throw in on Chase Elliott, given just what a massive favorite he is. Looking at some others, though, Truex is second shortest odds at 4-1. Ryan Blaney 6-1. Kyle Busch plus 750. Allmendinger 8-1. Hamlin 9-1, and Harvick 10-1. Round out the 7 drivers with 10-1 odds or shorter. And really, I don't know who outside of those I'm really looking to bet to win. The next shortest odds on the board are William Byron at 16-1. I don't want to totally spoil the article, but I don't see how you don't have a play on both Elliott and Truex. Allmendinger's so tempting at 8-1, but it's like you said, the equipment. I don't know, Zach. Any of those other guys that you would want to throw it in there, or somebody totally different? I know the Busch brothers. You're high on both of them for DFS. Kurt Busch is 20-1. Any name you'd want to throw out there?
KFB. I gotta say, Kyle. I mean, he worked the Busch Clash perfectly. I mean, he let Elliott and Blaney wreck each other, so he kind of lucked himself into a win. But I mean, I still think he can win here. Why not? He has experience on the road course from the IMSA. Granted, everyone else has experience here from last year's race, but I mean, I feel like Kyle is a good road racer, so he's not out of the ball. He's not out of the realm there.
100%. And of course, when we're looking at this race, going back to the Busch Clash that was run just last week on this road course, it's a recent data point that you can take a lot away from. Looking at some of the group betting odds, I'm just curious to get your thoughts maybe on one of these quick. Best finish in Group C. This is my bookie sportsbook that I'm referencing to, by the way. So best finish among these 5 guys, Zach. Chase Briscoe we have as a plus 270 favorite. Christopher Bell, Matt DiBenedetto plus 340. And then Eric Jones, Eric Almirola plus 370. So we're all pretty lumped in together here. Any of those guys stand out to you as a one who might be the play there? I think for me, it's Matty D.
That was to do what? Top 10, you said, or?
Nope, just the best finish amongst those 5 guys.
Probably Matt DiBenedetto's not a bad choice there. I mean, he's going to be pushing he's going to be pushing every week, and I feel like he's going to try to do his best. Well, obviously he do his best, but he's going to push him more than he probably should, and I think he can handle it. So 21 car, I expect him to do big things.
I agree, and that'll probably be one of the picks highlighted in the article, because some value on Matt DiBenedetto to win that group there. A couple young drivers. I don't know that Eric Jones is really much of a threat at all. I know he's decent on the road courses, but Richard Petty Motorsports, new team. I don't love it. Yeah, so I'd be looking there as well. Real quick, we will again do a joint DFS article as it relates to Monkey Knife Fight this week for the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. You can find that article on flurrysports.org. There's no contest in which you can win 100 times your buy-in this week like there was last week. Which, by the way, shout out to our main man, Zach Bruner. He got 7 out of 8 on that props contest.
Are you kidding me? Someone who doesn't even
7
know
out of 8.
NASCAR got it. What the hell?
That's exactly what I was thinking. Only Alex Bowman. He had him over, and of course, Bowman wrecked out early. That was what let him down. So, hey, you never know. There's no 100 times this week. There is an 85 times. Zach and I are going to, I think, make a weekly staple of throwing some picks out there for those massive contests just for funsies. I mean, why not? One that stood out to me, though, that I wanted to bring up on the show here with you. Now, I know we haven't submitted our plays for that article yet, but this one jumps out to me. So we're looking at fantasy points. Now, Monkey Knife Fight does differ from FanDuel in that the fantasy scoring is only laps led, and then first through
Top 20.
20th. Yeah, first place is 20 points down to 20 plays. 20th place getting 1 point. So we're comparing guys here. We have Chase Elliott going up against Truex, with Truex catching 2.5 fantasy points. Chase Elliott starting from the pole. I think he's leading a lot of laps there. And he's just so good at these road courses. He's probably going to finish better. He's probably going to win the race.
He's going to lose
Truex,
25 laps to make up that difference. So it's going to. I feel like Chase Elliott is easily the pick here.
yeah, Truex is not going to get points on Monkey Knife Fight for gaining positions, which we both think I think that he will do, given where he's starting. I like Elliott a lot there, though. And then we have second one in this contest. Ryan Blaney is catching half a fantasy point up against Kyle Busch. I'm with you. I think I got to go Kyle freaking Busch there, right? Blaney's starting near the back of the field after the wreck. Not the total back, but he's down there. And again, not going to be gaining fantasy points for gaining those track positions.
Yeah. I mean, how can you not pick Kyle Busch in this situation? He won here. What was it? 19 days ago. Holy crap! Like 10 days ago, it feels like. So why not? Why not? Why can't lightning strike twice here? So I gotta take him over Blaney.
Totally agree. And then the last one here in this contest, this one's interesting. There are a couple guys you're kind of fading. One guy we know has the road course talent as a driver. We don't know about equipment. The other guy we know has the equipment, but he hasn't figured out this course. AJ Allmendinger is laying 1.5 fantasy points going up against Kevin Harvick. What are we doing with that one?
That's tough.
And Allmendinger's not going to be able to gain points by working his way up the field. Common theme here with all these contests that we have to keep in mind transitioning from FanDuel to Monkey Knife Fight.
Yeah, that's one of the things I didn't realize is that when you asked me last week if I knew what the fantasy points were when I said they were too low, I said, yeah, I didn't realize what the actual points were, because to always pay attention, folks. But I feel like you have to pick Allmendinger here, only because Harvick. There's something wrong with Harvick on this track, and I cannot figure it out.
Yeah, I think I lean that way too. It's tough though. Harvick's got a starting 5th. Allmendinger is starting 34th.
Harvick started first here last year, and it didn't help.
I know.
He still finished. He still finished out the back.
I don't. We'll have to see on that one. That might be one of the contests though that we include in the article, or we might have some fresh ones for you. Definitely check that out though for our picks on the 85 times prize money, more or less contest. NASCAR DFS over at Monkey Knife Fight. And also check the article out for the promo code. Get you a little welcome bonus, some free money, some deposit match. It's all good. That'll
Use
wrap
code
up
Flurry.
our. What's that?
Did use code Flurry?
That's exactly right. Flurrysports.org, all the details. All these articles that we're referencing with our picks, DFS, etc., betting, you'll find them on flurrysports.org coming out today, tomorrow, ahead of the O'Reilly Auto Parts 253. That was everything I had. A little bit of a longer show here, this first one, as we dove into off season and such, along with the race recap. We'll be looking at roughly an hour each week. Again, Thursday nights and or Friday mornings. Zach and I will be with you every week here going forward, I think is the plan throughout the 2021 motorsports season. This was a lot of fun. I think we did a good job here. Any final thoughts as we wrap up the first ever episode of the Burnt Rubber Racing Podcast?
Follow me at ZT McAdoo. What is yours? Is it Hang Time Sports, right?
Hank Time Sports, that is right. Those are the Twitter handles. You definitely want to follow those. You know, you can see if there's another last lap wreck. I don't know that it'll be quite as big as the Daytona 500, but we'll be, I'm sure, jawing with NASCAR fans, trying to set the record straight. Hey, I call it like I see it. What can I say? I didn't understand the beef, but I digress. Fun show. Again, we'll be back next week with episode 2. Thank you to those of you who watched us live. Again, the replays, if you want to take in the video version, will be available on the Flurry Sports YouTube and on Periscope TV, the Twitter platform. And we'll let you know when the audio version will go up on Spreaker, and we'll let you know when it is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever you get yours going forward as well. Zach, thanks so much, man. It's been fun.
I can't wait for next week now.
Absolutely. Should be a fun race this weekend. Make your picks. Good luck with DFS. We will talk to you next week. Yeah, this has been episode 1 of the Burnt Rubber Racing Podcast. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you.